It's taken some work, but we got our plywood up and it's all screwed firmly into our 2x4 studs. We've also run 2 horizontal 2x6s, and those are screwed through the plywood and into the 2x4 studs. Sorry I don't have any video of that. I may have forgotten to record it, or somehow I've lost it. But that's where we're starting this video today. Our next step is going to be building the legs for the workbench. And I started off with building a template, and took a little doing, but the key part was making sure we got a good solid footing onto the bottom horizontal 2x4, and also having some adjustability so that we could make sure the table was very level and solid. And we should see later in the video it really came together well. It was just fairly time consuming here. Once we got our pattern set up, then we also had to glue and screw the 2x6s together. So bear with me here while I make a big mess with the glue. Did make sure to space the screws far enough away from the end so that we wouldn't run into them when we screwed it into the bottom 2x6. I'm using about a 3.5-inch screw, and as a result I've got to drill into the base of the leg so that the screw has enough length to firmly attach to the 2x6, maybe even into the plywood as well. So I'm drilling this out at a decent depth, but still leaving myself a good 1.5 inches of meat on there to give us plenty of strength. Because of the angle, the wood tends to chip out and has a few burrs on it, so just clean that up with a knife. Using a level, I just quickly transferred a mark at the bottom there to make sure everything was nice and square. I started working on putting the leg in position, making sure it was pushing against the concrete as well as the lower horizontal 2x6. Ended up it took a little more effort than I was expecting, but we did get it there. Made sure the base of the leg screwed in really solid, and while still touching the concrete so it doesn't have any bounce. With the legs securely attached to the base, we were able to start getting a level on the beam, the joist there. By moving the leg in or out there, we were able to get it just perfectly leveled. As soon as it was leveled, went ahead and drove a couple screws in from each side to secure it. Using this method, we were able to get pretty much spot on level. went through my scrap pile, found one good 2x6 that was 16 feet long. Also picked up a couple, or actually 3 2x12s that were fairly straight. So we're gonna make use of those for the top. Start off with just squaring up the boards. Then using the straightest board I could find, I ran a line along the board exactly where I needed to screw it in. This board being the first one is going to be kind of key to get everything square and straight. Taking careful consideration into which way the board was bowed, I went ahead and screwed in the corner. Made sure it had a nice tight fit, and with the bow of the board I'll be able to then push it in and have a nice tight fit all along the back wall. Now, with the help of my crowbar and a third hand, I'll be able to push this board exactly where it needs to be positioned. I apologize for the vibration on the video here. I didn't realize that was showing up in the video. Now, with the first board securely against the wall, I just started putting the other boards in place and found they had a pretty good fit, so I was able to just fairly rapidly start screwing them all down. One of the first problems I noticed is where the boards set on the joist and were screwed together. They had a pretty good, the elevation was pretty much the same on each board. They were pretty flat. But in the center, we were getting a little waviness action going on. And so we needed to mechanically connect these boards together so that they would have evenly or maybe I should say have a flat surface between them. To solve this problem, I got out my Craig 2-hole jig. After marking the center, I would just temporarily screw the Craig jig in place and drill out the holes. Using a jack, I would adjust the lower board. I would jack that up to be flush with the other board. As you can see, I did this for each of the tabletop boards, so they're all mechanically connected with each other right in the center between the joists. This did a really nice job. It pulled the boards together tightly and made it really a smooth surface. Here you can actually see two of the boards that had a little bit of a crack between them, and running those screws in tightened it right up. Alright, well, it's taken some doing, but we're finally starting to look like a table. Well, I don't think anybody enjoys this part, but it was time for some serious sanding. Gave it about 3 passes with the sander, try to get it smoothed up. It really wasn't bad, but just needed a little smoothing. Decided to try the water-based Polycrylic from MINWAX, and we're going to use the Harbor Freight spray gun, their cheap $9 spray gun, see how that goes. It was really clear, and sometimes I had a little trouble seeing just how well the coverage was going. But overall, it was very easy to apply. Just trying to make sure that I was actually getting full coverage. After giving it some time to dry, I ran over the table with very fine grit sandpaper just to smooth it out a little bit and before the next coat. Ended up applying 3 coats. All of them applied really easily, sanded in between each one, and then of course in the last one we did not sand. It's really hard to tell from the camera here, but it came out really nice. After the 3 coats of the polycrylic, it seems to have a nice protective coating on it, and I think it's going to hold up well as a workbench. The legs came out really solid. I've been very pleased with the ruggedness of the bench. I've done a little pounding on it since this video, and it's held up really well. Finally got it done. It's taken a while, but tell you what, it is really nice to have a 16-foot long table. I think we get a lot of use out of it, hopefully for many years. Hopefully Junior will be able to do some projects on it, and it'll be a multi-generational table for us. And if it does take a lot of wear and tear, then it'll be easy to put another layer over top of this. Hopefully the polyurethane is going to hold up good and will last for quite a while, but easy just to put another plywood top on it, or even another layer of 2x12s. So we'll just see how that goes, and we'll adjust as needed. I sure appreciate you watching. Hopefully this has been an informative series, and give you some ideas for what you might want to do with your own workshop. Thanks for watching.